All of the criticism seems to be about micromanagement, not giving people the opportunity to express themselves, not creating psychological safety, which favoring certain people with plum assignments and resources, whereas the others are left on their own.
A mentor of mine used to say that they used to have meetings called Fail Fridays. And ultimately, every Friday, as an organization, they would come together and tell stories of a failure of the week. And it presented the idea that failing was actually, as long as you're learning from it, that we're just failing faster, we're learning faster. Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest here, Mark. Mark, do you mind introducing yourself, your company, and how you help the world?
Thank you. Mark Caplan. It's the Leadership Institute. I have been coaching for 30 years. I also have 30 plus books on Amazon on personal development, leadership, health, and fitness. And my theme is how to empower the subconscious to change who you are and how you show up.
Fantastic. Well, quick story. It happens every day. I have a team of 70 right now, growing into the hundreds, and I'll catch myself have internal teammates not remember a critical thinking framework that we've been kind of enabling them with, called the 1-3-1. So never show up to a meeting unless they've, number one, outlined the situation, the challenge or opportunity. And then number two, they've come with 3 potential options that they've evaluated. Or then at the end, number one, they've presented a recommendation and a next action plan. And when I don't do this, when I don't force my teammates to do this, I end up solving their problems. And it's kind of like a little dopamine hit. I feel great. But what ends up happening is I've stolen from my future self, because they'll rely on me next week, next month, and it just keeps punting the ball down the road. And ultimately, I'm not developing them to be autonomous decision makers, strategic decision makers. So you've written 30 books, you've been coaching this your whole life. Why is it that founders and CEOs struggle? Like, what is the root cause to struggling to empower middle management?
Well, that's a great question, and pretty much the theme. I would say we're trying to get away from command and control and into coaching. So with coaching, we don't always need to instruct. We can ask a lot of questions and find out what's on people's minds and encourage. As a coach, I was always one to listen and see what people want to achieve on their own, and then show them the way, encourage them to find their potential. So with empowerment, what we're really talking about, and in many ways, I think, as you see on LinkedIn, we have 2 different kinds of organizations. One I would call a fixed mindset organization, in which there is a lot of command and control. And we want to authorize and get obedience, as opposed to maybe the growth mindset organization, which is also a good feature for people. We want to encourage everyone, make them more autonomous, and encourage them to find their own solutions, create psychological safety so that their comments, they won't feel embarrassed, rebuked, not be in fear of being fired for their opinions. So I think we have to create a psychologically safe environment, first of all, in order for people to speak their opinions.
It's interesting you mentioned an environment where people are willing to share and be vulnerable and be open. It reminds me, a mentor of mine used to say that they used to have meetings called Fail Fridays. And ultimately, every Friday, as an organization, they would come together and tell stories of a failure of the week. And it presented the idea that failing was actually, as long as you're learning from it, that we're just failing faster. We're learning faster. So you mentioned before the recording of the call, you had a framework. I think it was 10 points. Do you mind walking the audience through, I'm a CEO, I'm a founder. I need a bit of a checklist. I need a roadmap to how to be able to empower people. Because maybe I myself, if I'm being self-reflective, I'm used to answering everybody's questions or being the center of attention. And now it's a point where the only way I'm going to scale is scale through others. So what does that look like?
Okay, good question. Yes, 10 points. Let's say number one would be provide clarity. Everyone's always speaking, I need clarity, I'm confused, because one of the things that frustrates people is not having clarity about what they're expected to do. So when you provide clarity, give the middle managers, and I'm speaking towards middle managers, that could apply to anyone, however, give them clarity on what the company's goals are and why. Gives them greater insight into the thinking, because not everybody hears everything the same. And often miscommunications are created out of misinterpretation. So be real clear with them as to what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do that. Then, number two, grant authority. Give them autonomy. Make them feel comfortable making critical decisions. Back them with your...
And how do you, and I know you obviously don't need to go through all 10 points, but on that one in particular, how much rope have you found, and maybe it's situational, but how much rope do you provide somebody to learn and fail, or have a bit of a teach back method where there's a feedback loop?
Well, how much rope is like how high is up, but
Yeah.
But I would say that you hired them. You have to trust them. You've given them a position. You've given them goals. You have to trust them to use their judgment. If you don't trust them to use their judgment and perhaps fail intelligently, and consider that a learning experience, so that would be the best way to approach it. Have them be bold. Encourage them to be innovative and creative. Trust them to use the judgment, which is why you hired them. They need to use that if they want to get promoted and stand out. So allow them to make mistakes. It's a learning opportunity. Maybe you can come in at that point and discuss with them where they went too far in your own mind's view. Or you could say, yeah, you failed, but here's what we learned, and keep going. So you probably have two choices there: rein them in or let the rain go again.
Of those 10 points in your checklist,
Sure.
What is the number one place where founders, CEOs get stuck and you have to coach them through it, or it becomes unnatural? Which is the hardest barrier of change?
Well, given the structure of organizations today, I go back to the fact that we're either in fixed mindset organizations or growth mindset organizations. So I don't know how much time CEOs spend on LinkedIn, but if I spend quite a bit of time looking at comments and posting, and all of the criticism seems to be about micromanagement. Not giving people the opportunity to express themselves, not creating psychological safety, which favoring certain people with plum assignments and resources, whereas the others are left on their own. So my thought is that we're organizations where I see the need for most organizations or more organizations to improve productivity, engagement, and retention, which are three very important issues, is to allow people the opportunity to have autonomy and learn and make mistakes stand out, speak up, and push for their own promotion. So I'd say, more of an open society where even the leaders are display as an example and a model, their vulnerability, how they are accountable, the transparency, encouraging others to do the same and to feel safe.
If people want to know more about empowerment, especially the founders, we're speaking directly to you and empowering your middle managers, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, a great way is through my website, which is bestleadershipinstitute.com. That has the courses I teach. It has some of the books I've written. It has essays on various areas of empowerment, which include one, empowerment, but from my aspect, how people should interview, how people can develop their skills, and then courses on how to develop empowerment.
This is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on Offshore to Profits.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.